Young boy never broke again. We got games of war. Let's talk about it.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It Music Reviews Season 11. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, we are continuing our NBA YoungBoy coverage of the new album. It's called Massa, Make America Slime Again. Guys, this album has been definitely a ride. There's definitely been some wild stuff I've heard, from the first couple of tracks. There's been some other stuff, that I've heard that I've really liked. There's been some stuff that I haven't liked, This has just been such a, it's a pretty, I would say it's an experience of listening to an album that's 30 tracks long. Even on Playboi Carti's new album, Music, that was highly anticipated, etc. But, there was definitely some tracks on that album, that 30-track album, that I just, didn't really like either. So, yeah, it's definitely that same kind of experience. But we got a new track here. This thing's called Games of War. This is one of, the second tracks off the album. And honestly, this is one of the tracks to really get it going on this album, to really get that instrumental popping, to really get that beat going. Maybe YoungBoy's going to be fucking rapping his goddamn ass off. I mean, it's just going to be goddamn insane. So, being this the second track off the album, guys, it's definitely one of those things where, is this track going to be good? Is it going to sound good? Well, I just got done listening to it, so let's goddamn talk about it. Now, starting off, let's talk about the beat. Now, guys, I'm going to be real with you. I really like the beat. I like the 808s have such a deep sound to them. These 808s have their own vibe.
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has the spicy egg McMuffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Vibe to them, they have their own little thing going on, and I like that. It makes the 808s actually, not sound like basic-ass 808 loops or basic-ass bass loops that I've heard. So the 808s having some more sound to them, having some personality to them, just, makes this whole sound feel a lot better. I like the kind of feel the 808s have to them. I mean, these 808s could probably explode your goddamn car. I like that they're kind of backing up YoungBoy when he starts rapping, which honestly is just really fire to hear. I like how the horns, the horns on here are actually produced really goddamn well, and I was honestly kind of surprised by that. I really like the horns. I really like the vibe this song gives. I could see this song being played like, this instrumental kind of reminds me of those, 2000s kind of, NBA type songs, with those horns, with that lead up, kind of reminds me of a big moment, kind of gets you hyped up, etc. So that's a really cool thing when you really think about it, guys. I do enjoy the fact that we get that on here. And honestly, guys, YoungBoy, when he starts rapping, which is just fire, I like how the horns kind of also rise with the entire song. It just makes the horns actually have a lot more personality. Actually makes them, feel, it's better to listen to. Guys, I just like my horns. I like my different elements of a song to actually be more than a, couple of seconds of loops. I like how the horns actually, get some shine on the beat too, which is nice. Now those drums, the drums fucking kicking in, just sounding absolutely fucking insane. The production, guys, is that classic trap production, but I'm gonna be real, it's done right. It's definitely done right, guys. I've reviewed a lot of, 2025 rap songs this year alone, and a lot of songs last year, and even a lot of songs last year had the same problem too. Beats just not feeling, like beats. Beats just feeling like, we're putting this shit through an AI generator with how fucking boring it is. I mean, because it just feels like the same fucking shit, the same drum loops, the same 8.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. and preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Weights, etc., etc. So, having a beat that actually has so many other different elements just keeps the enjoyability, just keeps you want to keep listening and listening and listening. And I also do like, too, it's got that older 2000 sound kind of baked in the production, too. Not a main thing, it's not a mainstay, it's not, I don't think it's a nostalgic bait thing, but, there definitely is some, kind of nostalgic kind of, horns, etc., this kind of reminds you of, like the little circle square TV, that shit that had the DVD player, that was in it, just kind of reminds you of watching, basketball games or sports games, on that, type of TV with these type of horns, etc. So I do like the nostalgic factor that's kind of baked in here, but it's like YoungBoy kind of doing his own thing with it. And I like how it's not the only thing with this song. You got the hard 808s, you got the hard drums, you got all these different elements that just bring such a great vibe when you're listening to the track. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed this production. Really good in my opinion. I think some of the best that I've definitely heard. Now, let's move on now, because we do have to talk about YoungBoy's first verse. Guys, there's a couple. I think there is. Yep. There's a couple of verses on here. And I will be real with you, guys, when you really think about it. Couple of verses on here. And I think this is where we're going to run into a little bit of some issues that I was running into while I was listening to the album. Now, it's not going to be a while until I come out with my album review, so we might as well slip a little bit of some of my thoughts in there. One of the issues that I was kind of seeing listening to this album, I won't really go too in-depth of it, but so far, the issue I'm seeing is, a lot of the time, the second verses of these songs have not been the best quality. It's been one of those complaints that I've had for a while. So that's just something to keep an eye out as we keep talking about, as we keep covering the new YoungBoy album. But YoungBoy's first verse was actually really goddamn fire. The flows were great here. I like how he's switching his rap vocals throughout the whole verse. Creating some nice variety when listening to the verse. Overall, we'll say this. I really do enjoy the flows. I'm glad that, there's so many different goddamn flow switches that come on here. I mean, even vocal-wise, too, we're getting some nice vocal switches, too, that just, keep this flow going. I like these little smaller flow switches that we get kind of baked in between this track, too. And honestly, I just think this is just such a great start to the song. Just a great start overall, in my goddamn opinion. I really do enjoy this, guys. The first verse was just absolutely great. Now let's talk about the hook. Guys,
got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care, too. Sephora, good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtuo Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your Virtuo Pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
The hook is the basic rapper hook. You say a phrase or a bar just kind of over and over and over again. I do like how he switches his vocals so you can tell immediately when, it is the hook. And the flow is basic here, but I will say, guys, this definitely gets the job done. I definitely think it works actually really well. This hook can easily get stuck in your head. Just when you know, this hook could easily get stuck in your head, but just when I personally hear this hook, guys, it just kind of makes me want to say this hook kind of over and over and over again, if you know what I mean. You know, even though this hook is basic, even though this hook might be one of the more basic hooks I've heard from YoungBoy, I will say that. I just think it gets the job done, and honestly, I think it's just decent. You know, it's okay. It's nothing crazy, but it's okay at best, and I think that's honestly a pretty fire thing in my opinion from YoungBoy, which is really awesome. So, not a crazy hook, you know, nothing that I'm going to be sitting on this show saying that, you know, this shit was fucking great, like, you know, the first verse. But, you know, it gets the job done, and it's just okay. Now, here we go. Let's complain a little bit, because, you know, we got to complain a little bit on this show, because not everything is going to be fucking amazing on this show. The final verse. I will say this, guys, the final verse did feel like we might have been dragging it a little bit here. You know, this felt like a Drake song. Like, I'm really listening to Drake fucking drag it on for like 4 minutes. You know, the flows were the same as the first one. Now, YoungBoy does do this really fast flow switch, but that was only a little bit at the end. And honestly, he didn't even keep it going. You know, he went back just the same flow before, so that's kind of disappointing. And then, you know, there's this dreaded fucking talking in the second verse too, you know, leading to the final hook. And I will say this, you know, even though the talking's not like Brent Faiyaz, you know, even though the talking's not like a song that I've listened to recently where, you know, it just felt like I was listening to like, you know, like poetry throughout the whole entire song. It's nothing like that. Thankfully, it's super short and not like ruining the song. But the second verse, it's just nothing crazy in my opinion. It kind of feels like it's dragging on the song like a little too much. So guys, overall, when we talk about this song from, you know, YoungBoy Never Broke Again, Games of War, you know, I really do enjoy the production. Some of the best.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue. Subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Trap production I've heard. You know, nothing crazy, but it gets the job done. I like the 2000s kind of sample baked in there. YoungBoy providing a really great verse, but that hook, you know, that hook was just okay. And then, you know, you got that. And then that second verse, in my opinion, just felt like it was kind of dragging on the song a little bit way too much. So yeah, guys, overall, I would say this is a pretty decent YoungBoy track. Nothing crazy, but it gets the job done. Overall, I'm going to give this track a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, my Spotify people, make sure you follow the show for new content every single day. We got a lot more YoungBoy coverage coming out this whole entire weekend, this whole entire week. And also, guys, we're going to be even heading into the next week and ending off next week with an album review. So get ready for all that. I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.